Okay, everybody, we're back. Today is Wednesday, October 1st, 2025, and we're going to, once again, as we usually do, share in the joy of PDH. I'll get into kind of what we're doing tonight in a second. I just want to mention Magic on Atlanta real quick. That was this past weekend. I was there with Bobby B. Fine, Wobber, Sniffhow, Stout Arm, Springer. Played a lot of PDH. It was a lot of fun. It's a great event. I really enjoy myself. Always enjoy hanging out with those guys and jamming games, which we did plenty of. But I do want to mention there was a gentleman, I don't remember your name, so I apologize, who grabbed me and recognized me on the floor. Recognized me enough to pull me aside, to give me a tap on the shoulder, and mention that his friends were playing, getting into PH, they'll host it hereafter, enjoying the format. That's why we do it, folks. It meant a lot. I've never been recognized on a con floor before. So I apologize if it was a little, my interactions were stilted. I was kind of caught off guard because that stuff doesn't really happen to me. I'm just a normal person. So it meant a lot that you did it, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And you mentioned that you'd seen the stream, so it's obviously where I recognize you from. So if you see this one, I appreciate you. Thank you. Anyway, moving right along. Tonight we're going to do Spider-Man Noir. So this is probably the last Spider-Man one I'll do. I don't know if there are many other designs that I really like, but this one's been kind of weighing on me a little bit. I've been thinking about this one a lot. I'm not a big fan of mono black decks. This one is very combat oriented, which I like. And I think mono black tends to drift very easily into this realm of like aristocrat stuff, sacrificing things for value. It gets very samey. This one I think is very different, which is what I find appealing about it. Pardon me, I got my little cup of tea here. We're doing some counter stuff, we're doing some aggro stuff, we're doing some graveyard stuff. So we'll read it real quick. 5 mana, 4/4, legendary creature, spider, human, hero. With menace, whenever a creature you control attacks alone, it gets a counter, and then you surveil X, where X is the number of counters you got. Notably, it says X is the number of counters on it, not necessarily the number of +1/+1 counters, so we have some room to play with like lifelink counters or flying, whatever kind of counters we can do. There's a couple cards that'll do stuff like that. Also like Exalted. I know there's at least like one black Exalted card at common. Lots of cool stuff we could do with this. Obviously, like, we're just attacking with big things. We're feeding our graveyards. There's a lot of stuff that we can play with here. That's kind of the thing with Pauper Commander is, when you're thinking about synergies, you kind of just have to lump all the mechanics on your card into like very general broad categories. That within them may contain a lot of synergistic mechanics. Like, for example, when we think of graveyard mechanics like Surveil as a graveyard mechanic, Flashback, Retrace, Delve, like all of these things. So when we look at a graveyard mechanic, they all kind of intermarry in various ways. So if your commander has like one graveyard mechanic on it, odds are like you'll find a lot of great cards in the other tertiary graveyard mechanics to kind of complement what you're doing, and that's kind of what we're going to do here. So first thing we'll do is we'll get some swamps, and we'll get some mana rocks, because our commander is 5 mana, and there's some other expensive stuff we're going to be doing. So let's do 36. We'll play some mana rocks. Let's get ourselves a Arcane Signet. Well, Arcane Signer. Arcane Signet. We'll get ourselves a. We don't need like a ton of like the good, like the mediocre 2 mana rocks. We got Mind Stone. Because with this commander, the important thing is jumping from 3 to 5. So like a 3 mana rock, for example. I guess what I'm trying to explain is like the play patterns here. When you have a 2 mana rock, so you go like land turn 1, land mana rock turn 2, and then turn 3 you can cast a 4 mana value spell. With this, our commander is 5 mana, so if we're looking to bridge into our commander, we want 3 mana rocks just because we could jump from 3 to 5. Turn 3 we tap 3 lands, play a mana rock. That's our 4th mana source. Turn 4 we untap. We have our 4th land. Now we have 5 mana sources and cast our commander. So I think that's a good like baseline. And plus, like a lot of the mana rocks in this format are good at 3 mana. But there's a couple 2 mana ones I really like. Actually, Arcane Signet we probably don't. Well, it's an untapped mana source. I think that's pretty decent actually. Untapped black mana source. Anyway, let's see. So we want to get ourselves a Infernal Idol. This is a fun one. You don't see it a ton. It's really good in black decks and those with like a heavy black commitment. But it's a mana rock, adds a black, pay 3, sacrifice it, draw 2, lose 2. It's a good utility card. We also have things like Bonder's Ornament. These cards are good because when you surveil, notably, like whatever you leave on top, you're not drawing. So ways that we can draw the top card of our deck at instant speed are good. Ways to like Bonder's Ornament and Infernal Idol. Um, let's see, what other ones? We'll probably want like Unstable Obelisk. Just because it's also a removal spell, can get rid of pesky enchantments that black is not very great at, or artifact removal. Let's see. I'm trying to think. I don't think we're really in the market for something like a Charcoal Diamond or a Star Compass. Oh, we'll play Everflowing Chalice. Hello, Vivo, Ever-Flowing Chalice, because we're doing 1/1 counter stuff, and there's maybe like 1 or 2 cards that'll proliferate, and we can kind of dip into that a little bit with Ever-Flowing Chalice. I like that. We can do Legendary Revealing as well. Again, this card gets much better when we're setting the top of our library. I don't play this one. I don't put this in a ton of decks because it misses a lot. But it's a 3 mana, adds a mana of any color, and 4 equal to the top card. If it's a land, it goes right on the battlefield. So we can surveil a land to the top, activate this, ramp ostensibly. Similar to Bonder's Ornament, except it'll ramp us, whereas this will just draw us a card every time. They get different, but similar. 7 mana rocks. I think let's see what is available. These are the ones that like stick out to me, but there's always like 1 or 2 things that I forget about that are always like interesting, I'm not playing Arkham Astrolabe, I'm not doing these. Probably not doing Springleaf Drum RIP. It's one of my favorite cards. We got creatures. Ornithopter of Paradise is pretty good. We'll probably play Ornithopter of Paradise, honestly. Don't really need a Thought Vessel because we're not doing a ton of that stuff. Might be good to have a Thought Vessel though, just because one of the easy synergies here is with a card, Theta Gargantua from Modern Horizons 3. Whenever one of the counters put on it, you draw 2 cards, lose 2 life. Easy to draw a lot of cards with that. So maybe we'll go to a Thought Vessel, or a Decanter of Endless Water, maybe. Question: how often do you find in your games that you have mana left over to activate 4 mana sinks like Bonder's Ornament? Not terribly often, but the fact remains that if you don't have anything else to do, it's always good to have mana sinks. And if you're in the market, if you're already playing like 3 mana rocks like these, it's better to do the ones that you can actually pump mana into if you don't have anything better going on. A lot of the decks that I build, I don't build like a ton of ramp into a lot of my decks. So oftentimes my mana is leveraged pretty heavily, so I don't have a lot of mana left over. If we're doing stuff like this, where we have a lot of mana sources, and not using all our mana every turn, then these things become very valuable. One that I use a lot more is Takage's Dig Site, which is a land that you can surveil with. I've used that one, a handful of times. That one I find more applicable, but these are our sources of ramp that we're looking for. So I guess the short answer is sometimes. Starting column is interesting. We are attacking, so maybe we'll play this. Yeah, these cards like Bonder's Ornament and Everflowing, Legend Revealing, they're much better in decks where you're playing a lot more mana sources. That's for sure. Okay, yeah, I mean, this seems okay. I think the starting column is pretty good. Just being cash in for some cards is pretty neat. Don't really care about Magnifying Glass. That's like a very heavy mana investment, right? Because we're paying 4 to make the clue and then paying 2 to sacrifice the clue. That's a bit much. Maybe play Commander Sphere. Just because we can cash it in. Actually, that makes a lot of sense because when we're setting the top of our library, it makes sense to draw an extra card. Alright, so let's do that. Okay. Let's get ourselves... we'll play Blitzball too. We have a legendary commander, so Blitzball is actually relevant. Get sacrificed to draw 2 cards if we connect with our commander. I like that. Okay, so 10 mana rocks is perfect. Let's see. Let's do a 1 exalted card. I don't remember the name of it. It's a skeleton. It's a 0/2 for 1 mana. Oh, I guess we have Servant there for rocks too. Okay. Duty Bound Dead is what I'm thinking of. It's a 1 mana 0/2. Can regenerate it. Certain Death Rocks 3/1 for 3 Exalted. Since our commander wants us to be attacking with a single creature, these cards seem pretty obvious to me. They just sit back and pump things. Start with FRX and duty bound. Yeah, seems pretty free. M13, interesting set. Exalted was a featured mechanic in that set. Okay, now what we want to do, I'm trying to think where I want to start. We could find cards that have +1/+1 counter synergies. It seems like an obvious place to start. Let's, whoops, +1/+1. Yeah. Because notably, like, this scales based on the number of counters on it. So cards that place counters on things are really good. Cards that benefit from having counters are really good, obviously. And cards that proliferate are really good. So anyway, we'll start here. Let's sort by mana value. Let's sort by mana value. I like my cheap cards, you know. Play these 2 lands once we get to the lands part. Not quite there yet. Carrion Feeder. I don't want to do the Aristocrat stuff particularly. This card does grow really big, but I kind of want to play a more straight up game. Retrofitted Transmigrant is actually pretty good here. This is one that we can surveil into the yard and bring back, and it enters with 2 counters already. So like, this is a card that's very synergistic with what we're doing. Plus, it's like a good roadblock if we need to play defense a little bit. Not doing a ton of sacrificing. Professor's Warning is an interesting protection spell. It's interesting. Cards with kicker, like Stronghold Confessor. Oh, play Dream Drinker Vampire. This is a good one. There's another card that cares about having counters on it, or having counters placed on it. 2 mana, 2/1 lifelink, adapt 1. If it gains a counter, it gets a menace, which is actually pretty good because, you know, any kind of evasion is pretty sick. And anything that we're not attacking with sits back to block, which is perfectly fine. College Stream is pretty good. Yeah, there's a lot of interesting stuff here. We could do the Aristocrat stuff because, like, these things can counter Mofolk, Hungry Ghoul. I think that's just kind of boring though. Unexpected Fangs is great. We'll do that one. So this puts a 1/1 counter and a lifelink counter. Pretty great combat trick. So that's 2 counters. Wither and Bloom is great. This is a removal spell. So another great, like, graveyard card here. 2 mana gives a thing -2/-3, which is pretty standard for this effect. And then for 2 you can exile it to put a 1/1 counter on a creature. So pretty great. Pretty great. All sacrifice creatures, blah blah blah. Yeah, black cards are just kind of boring, you know. Oh, Descendant, Deep Up and Skulker is good. So Descend is an interesting mechanic here because it's really easy to descend when we're surveilling every turn. To descend, you don't need to put something into the graveyard from the battlefield. It can go from anywhere, right? So we can surveil it, mill it, sacrifice a creature, whatever, and it'll get a 1/1 counter at the end of turn, and it has menace. So we can kind of like line up our killers. In fact, you know, while we're talking about that, let me get one of my favorite cards here, Dirge of Dread. This is a great combat trick. It's not really a combat trick, but it's an evasion granting card here. This is a really great card in any kind of like block aggressive deck. It gives all your creatures fear for 3 mana, which is like pretty good, right? In a lot of games, depending on what you're doing, I mean, most of the time it'll make your team unblockable. But it also cycles to give a single thing fear. So you can give, you know, our Deep Goblin Skull Taker fear, so it's even harder to block, and we draw a card. Or we can just give our whole team fear and just Alpha Strike, you know? Because while this is a great engine to kind of set up what we're doing and keep the game rolling, we don't need to rely on this to win, right? We can always just Alpha Strike with our big ol' 1/1 counter creatures. I think that's just fine. Expanded Anatomy is another one. Things that just like pile counters onto our creatures and just let us surveil super huge, I think is really appealing. If you're more creatures in the graveyard, it gets a counter and upkeep. Maybe. That's an interesting effect. We're definitely... Oh, the dogs are barking in the background. Okay. Hagra Constrictor is kind of an outlier here. This is a card that kind of goes in every single +1/+1 counter deck. If you saw my video with Haru and whatever black creature I played it with, I don't remember. Hagrid Constrictor is really, really good. Cascade. But this is a card that gives every creature with a 1/1 counter menace. So it makes our whole team evasive. This deck's got a lot of menace going on, but this card's pretty sick. Nested Shambler. So with Nested Shambler specifically, yeah, I think it's hard to say because the direction that I really want to go is a deck where you just want to keep attacking. And with Nested Shambler, I think we're incentivized to sacrifice it to get that payoff. Otherwise, it takes a lot of time to ramp up because it's just a 1/1 for 1 with no keywords. So it's not a great aggressive threat on its own. You're just piling up counters on it with the intention of sacrificing it. So I think for what I'm trying to do here, it's less appealing, but I can see a world where this commander, you want to play a lot of the creatures sacrifice themselves into things like carrion feeders, those sorts of things. So I think there's a world for it. I just don't think it's this deck. So if you combat, oh, this card's cool. Oh, it's an avatar card. I can't put in cards that don't exist yet. This card doesn't exist. Artifact creatures put in the graveyard from the battlefield. Put a counter on it. It's not that great. Left the battlefield or spells warped? No. Descend is particularly good, but these templatings are not exactly what we're looking for. Format lost life, put a counter on it. Yeah, Savage Scorcher's sick. Yeah, I think there's definitely like a sacrifice-oriented deck for this commander that likes those cards. Man, the dog's just going. Luckling Paladin, Scourge. From the 4 mana value things now. It's pretty large. Fetid Gargantua is the king here. Welcome, Bill. Fetid Gargantua is bar none the best target for this effect. It's a big old creature by itself, and whenever a counter's put on it, whenever one or more counters put on, rather, draw 2, lose 2. So every combat when it attacks alone, it gets a counter, we draw 2, lose 2. It's a pretty sick engine. Gilmole. Yeah, I mean, not a ton of great stuff here. Oh, I guess Venom Unleashed is actually really good, right? Because it's a graveyard mechanic here. Exile to put counters on something from the graveyard. That's good. I like that. A lot of Spider-Man. So I know the Spider-Man set gets a lot of shit. I think I talked about this last time too, but a lot of the designs are just individually very interesting. The set's like not very cohesive at all, and I totally understand that part of it. But I think that a lot of these cards are really cool. This sort of angling here, 3 mana exile mechanics you can play from the graveyard like this, I think are really cool. We'll probably play Adorned Crocodile as well. Just something that we can mill over and kind of flashback out of the graveyard, Alright. Let's look at more ways to just put a 1/1 counter on a creature, draw a card. Feral Deathgorge is actually pretty good. I really like these cards just because, like, modal cards, I think make this format way, way better. How good modal cards are in this format versus others. Like, a 6 mana 3/5 Flying Death Touch is, like, pretty hard to beat in combat in this format. And it just like lets us set up our commander with its Omen, which I like a lot. We have enough ramp that like casting this is by no means a pipe dream. Let's see. Flying Exploit, no. No, Avatar, no. Nope. Sacrifice. I don't want to sacrifice stuff. Stop telling me to sacrifice stuff. Luckling Paladin is interesting. So 4/3 menace for 4, which ain't bad. Sacrifice creature, put 2 counters on this. Interesting. A lot of interesting stuff, But I'm not sure how it all fits, how I want this stuff to fit together exactly. Well, let's like Gixie the Skull Flare. Man, the dogs are having a time of it tonight. Goodness me. Goodness me. This is Gold Oblivion Sunger. It's a gold protection spell. Gives something indestructible and draws a card if it has a counter on it. That's a fun little synergy. I like that stuff. That's cool. I'm in. Doesn't take much to convince me. Put a 1/1 counter against Death Touch indestructible. Yeah, I'll play that too. These cards are actually, this card in particular, Maximum Overdrive, and I guess like Oblivion Sunger to an extent. Any of these cards that give things indestructible like this, they're interesting in the sense that like a lot of our creatures here have menace or can get menace very easily, and yeah, Doggo's popping off. Menace and Death Touch is really, really good. Menace and Indestructible is really good. Oftentimes people play with I say this all the time, people play with really, really slim margins, and messing up a combat will blow them out in an insane way. Okay, Essence Infusion, 2/1 counters on that one. Usually what happens is, that is Junie, she's the puppy. Usually what happens is that she becomes a menace and Taylor puts her in her crate and then she loses her mind. Army of Eros is a great equipment. This is one, whenever a creature attacks, it gets a 1/1 counter. Easy to cast, easy to equip. So hopefully, like, we can surveil quite a bit here. Stronghold Confessor. Ooh, that's actually pretty bad. You know, I looked at this card earlier, and I kind of like it. So it's a 1/1 menace for 1, which is, like, pretty okay. And we can just, like, supercharge it with 2 counters if we want to. Sadistically, we could play Sadistically, although I don't like Sadistically just because it's one of those cards that makes people raise their eyebrows at you, and I don't want that. Leave me alone, you know, that's what I always say. Battlefield tap, 1/1 counter, Iron Apprentice. We could play like Iron Apprentice. I'm not gonna do like the modular stuff, but Iron Apprentice is pretty okay because this enters with a counter, and when it dies, you can put it anywhere you want, not necessarily on an artifact. So it has like that modular effect without being a modular card. Okay, this seems fine. Might play College Solarium if we need to. This 6 mana 3/3 now. Okay. Maybe these auras like Eternal Thirst. Eternal Thirst is different than Sadistically, but maybe we'll go back to that. I don't know. Okay. Now that we've done that, there is another card that I want to do. There's a backup card. Oh, there's 2 actually. Okay. We'll do these 2. Consuming Aetherborn and Gloomfang Mauler. As a reminder to all the folks out there, I'm a huge fan of backup. It's a really, really cool mechanic. When it enters, it back up N. Put N counters on something, it gains an ability. So in this case, you put a 1 counter on something, it gains lifelink till end of turn. With the Gloomfang Mauler, it gains Menace and 2 counters. And this is very castable. Again, we're playing 10 mana rocks, so it's very castable. All right, let's look at some graveyard mechanics here. Let's look at some. Actually, let's look at cards that go out graveyard in general. Graveyard has like a word in the text box. This really help us find some creatures like Bonebite Oracle, for example. Like support cards for 1/1 counters. Is that what you're talking about? What's this card called? Bonebite Oracle. Orator. Okay, there we go. Black does not have very many 1/1 counter support cards. There's cards that give things counters, like Essence Fusion and whatnot. The cards that the biggest support card is something like Hacker Constrictor. Each creature you control with a counter gets menace, but there's not really much else. I mean, there's some stuff like Fetid Gargantua, for example, or Dream Drinker Vampire, but not a ton. Not a lot that care about 1/1 counters, except for like this commander itself. Which is something that I kind of like about the strategy, right? It's kind of out of left field. You kind of have to work for it a little bit, and I like decks that make you do that. Jade Gravestalker, 1 less for each artifact and or creature in your graveyard. Yep, we'll play that one. Probably play like Gurmag Angler too. Just stuff that benefits from like having a big graveyard. This sacrifice ability. like cards that exile themselves out of the graveyard for an effect are going to be good here. Like I said, for like flashback, retrace, like those sorts of mechanics. Cards like this, like Deathless Pilot, where you can turn from graveyard to hand. This one's not particularly good. The best one is Retrofitted Transmigrant, and there's another one that we'll find later that I like quite a bit as well. Some of them are good, some of them are kind of mediocre. Alright. How are we doing on time? 7:25, 73 cards. Okay, we're doing okay. I don't really want to do Dread Return stuff. Maybe we could, right? Let's play Dread Return. I don't know what we're Dread Returning, but we're going to do it. We could Dread Return or Gloomfang Maul if we cycle it, probably. That's pretty cool. Descend, Warmer Graveyard. No, not that. Okay, here's another one. Your Soul Tender. This is one that when you cast it, or when it enters, you mill, and then you can pay mana to sacrifice it, or rather exile it to return to, raise it. It's like the Bonebind Order, except it's a little more expensive to cast from your graveyard, or active from your graveyard, rather. You could also play like a number of like raise decks like this, like Instant Speed, Rebuy 2. It's pretty good. Play Ghastly Demise. That's a cool one. This is a removal spell that scales based on how big your graveyard is. Destroy a non-bot creature if its toughness is less than the number of cards in your graveyard. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. That's what I always say. You play Ghoul's Feast. Exile, make a 2/2 zombie. Not the worst. Maybe we'll come back to Ghoul Colors Accomplice. Number of creatures in graveyard. I don't know how many creatures I'm going to play, so maybe we'll hold off on Ghoul's Feast for now. Gravedigger obviously is like one of my favorite cards. I wish we were doing connive stuff too, because then we could do madness stuff. But when I first was thinking about this card, for some reason in my head, I thought it had connive for some reason, but it does not. Would have been really cool if it did, but unfortunately no. Anyway. Haunted Dead Marshes. This is another one. So this is a 1/1 for 1, ETB Scry 1, and then you can return to the graveyard to the battlefield tapped if you have a legendary creature. Just like a really great thing to get in the way. It scries, which is awesome, just a little bit of card selection. Urborg Uprising is probably too slow. Urborg Uprising is it's 5 mana, rebuy 2, draw a card. I much prefer like the 3 mana rebuy 2 that doesn't cantrip, because the one from Final Fantasy is an instant, and I like being able to double spell. Like that's how you gain. Like tempo is really important in Pauper Commander, and I think that one of the best ways to generate a lot of card advantage is to be able to like double spell. You get a lot more tempo, a lot more card advantage that way, especially with things like Return to the Fight or whatever it's called. That rebuy 2. But one that costs 5 is not one that I'm particularly interested in here. Lifelink, Exile. Okay, Ichor Drinker's interesting. I like this one because it makes... Actually, you know what's interesting is this idea of the incubate tokens. I wonder what... Because they're artifacts that enter with counters on them. So pretty good here. I wonder how much more of that there is. I'll have to look at that after I'm done with this search. Oh, Join the Dead's pretty cool. Just like another synergistic removal spell. If we have 10 or more permanents, or 5 more permanents in the graveyard. Oh, to send 4. 4 more permanents in the graveyard gets -10/-10. That's pretty cool. Synergistic. Oh boy, Junie really going at it. Botlet Giant, Liliana's Elite. Again, like, I'm not sure how much... Because we're pulling a lot of creatures out of our graveyard. Like, if you've seen a lot of the creatures that we put in, they all have activated abilities that remove themselves. So maybe these are not that great. This one connives. Enters, exile card from the graveyard, and then you can connive. Draw discard. It's an interesting one. Yep. What are we at now? 79. Moving right along. Persistent Specimen is like one of... I guess we could... I mean, Persistent Specimen is definitely the worst of the three so far, like between this one and the two others that we put in terms of like creatures that return themselves. I don't know if I want another one. Maybe if I need another playable, we'll come back to this, but I don't think it's necessary at this point. I think 2 is fine, honestly. They kind of do what you want to do, and you don't need to really stack them up as much as you think. Resentful Revelation's interesting. Rose Monster, sacrifice, identify new gender token. No. Not really what I'm looking for. Alright, Scare Tiller is actually pretty good. Can rebuy lands out of our graveyard. That's a good one. This is a bit expensive. 6 mana to make 2 tokens. Skip over that one for now. Does Torture Resist do anything for us? I mean, it obviously does, but if we're filling up our yard, maybe it does. It's like, gives us a lot more options. Let's put a Torture Resistance in here. Why not? Unwilling Ingredient, absolutely sick one. The weird thing about these cards is like Unwilling Ingredient's a 1/1 with Menace, and it just kind of randomly exiles itself too. So this is something we can attack with. Like it's a 1/1 with evasion. It wears counters. You know, that's important. Here's our pricing. Yeah, rebuy 2, draw a card. Probably a little slow. Probably a little slow. We got Wither and Bloom. Okay. We could play Necromass. I'm not sure how many creatures are in your yard. We'll play Necromass. Let's look at the Delve cards. It's like these 3 are the big ones. Probably just Garmac Angler. Just a big beefer that blocks or attacks depending on what we want. And let's look at Incubate. Not a ton. So 2 mana Incubate 3 is what this card reads. I'll play that. Another thing that's good is army stuff. Like Orc Army. Oh, whoops. 3 Fleet Flyer, not good enough. I don't want to play too many of them because I have a lot of ways to like pull things out of my yard. The thing about Delve is you can easily just find yourself in a position where you delve away a bunch of stuff to play one, then you don't have enough to delve away for the other. I think a 5/5 beefer, I like it a lot better. I do like Scavenger though. I play Scavenger in a number of decks. Amass is what we want. Okay. Not a ton of ways to amass a ton of tokens. I guess there's this one, amass 2, Reaver, Mortar Muster. We can play a bunch of the amass orc stuff. Why not? Plus, I imagine we'll need room for other things, and that's another reason not to pile up too heavy on like one classic card. I'm probably I feel like I'm gonna have to end up cutting some stuff because there's a lot of stuff here that I like. Orcish Medicine, and we'll play the Thoughtseize one too, Torment a Golem, and Troll Evasion. Because we also want like the things that are required to die, I am less high on because I don't want to be in a position where like they're just not dying. You know, they just sit around and do nothing. If I don't have a way to sacrifice them, which is not really what we're doing here. Let's look card. I want to find ways to draw more cards in instant speed. Oh, you know what? Wedding Invitation is a good one. Not instant speed, but you know, it's a good card. We'll play that. Audacious Thief is a good one. Stacking triggers with this guy. That's pretty good. Not doing like this stuff. 7:35. We're still doing good on time, which is good. Troll of Khazad-dûm. Yeah, possibly. I do like that card quite a bit. I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything here. Nastian's not bad. But I don't want to do all the sacrifice stuff. We got a couple protection spells, which are good. There's probably a couple like instant speed, like Road Scrim Search. We can just play Road Scrim Search, I guess. Because on its baseline, it's an instant speed, you know, Surveil 2, more or less, draw 2, which is good. There's like instant speed versions of that, I think, is adequate. Vulture's in. Love that card. Okay. Let's do this. Just want to make sure. Being thorough here. Yeah, Blood Pact is like the template. But there's better ones. Yeah, like Cruel Truce. We'll play that one too. This way we can draw cards off our library at instant speed, which I like. 95 cards. 27 creatures is fine because we only need one. Troll, Khazad-dûm. Let's go back to that. Yeah, we'll play Troll. Why not? Troll is cool. Man, the dog is just losing her mind. Alright. Okay, so we've got 6 or 4 more spots. Put in some like just straight, so some general like good removal spells or interactive spells. Might be good. Wonder what like equipments or wars we can do. So we are attacking. Let's get equipment. Just black equipment here. Like Bladed Battle Fan's a good one. Because you're technically like a Voltron deck, right? Like we're putting counters on things and attacking with single creatures. So like Brass Knuckle is probably good. Shadefell Centipede is pretty cool. Not gonna play Cranial Plating. Discount your creature, make a food. I'm just kind of scrolling through. I'm gonna go back and add stuff in a second. I just want to get an idea. Thieves' Tools I like. Okay. Yeah, a couple things we can do here. Do Bladed Battle Fan. It's like another protection spell. That seems fine. Chain Flail. And we'll do like a Gold Vein Pick and Ceremonial Life. Got a set of pipes on her. Make blood tokens and treasure tokens to help us power out this stuff. Okay. This is 100. Let's put a Cave of Temptation here. Let's do some of this. Captivating Cave. Opal Palace. Study Hall. Whatever the mire is. Fluted Mire. The desert that cycles. What's the other one? It's the other cycling land, the 1-mana cycle land. What is it? Land. Cycling. Land. Barrenmore, there we go. Play Barrenmore. Okay, now we cut 7 of these. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Alright. Alright. Play test. Here we go. Okay, so this hand kind of is mid, but we'll roll with it. Draw for turn. Alright. Alright, got a gold vein pick out there. Now here we can do two things. We can get out our lantern, or we can just play our audacious leaf. I kind of want to get the lantern out there so that we can get this out there. And okay. Everflowing Chalice is sick. Okay, so here's what we'll do with Everflowing Chalice. We'll just keep ripping. No. Here it comes. Spider-Man. And now what we can do is we can go 1, 1. So we can put this here. We go 1, 2, 3. Play this. Attack alone here. Trigger. Gets a counter. Surveil 1. Put that in the yard. We've got 2 mana left over. We'll just play Overflowing Chalice on 1. Alright. We can just cast this. Let's just cast Gloomhaven Mauler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's pretty good, right? Just put 2 counters on. Oh, we make a treasure token too, which is even better because what we can do now is we can just sacrifice treasure, attach. We'll put the counters here. Attach the equipment, and then we attack. Trigger. 2 triggers. So put a counter. Surveil 3. We'll go 1, 2. Keep this. Seems good. Now we have like these 2 removal spells. We can rebuy something if we want, or we can just do Cruel Truce. Let's do that. 1, 2, 3. Actually, we'll just go to combat first. Attack. Trigger, counter. 1, 2, 3, 4. We'll take this one. And these go in the yard. So now we can go 1, 2, 3. Play this. 1, 2. And then we can go 1, 2, 3, 4. Oops. Putting this back. 2 more counters. So now we have like a lot of flexibility, right? Because we have this thing that's going to keep growing. If they kill that, we just start sending in with this, right? We just keep surveilling, just surveilling constantly. That feels pretty good. Or we could just keep doing it on Spider-Man, like, whatever. One thing I do want to do is like a proliferate. Oh, whoops. That's everything. Not interested in that. Alright. Okay, so let's cut some stuff because I want to go for some of those things. We'll cut Dread Return. This card's flashy, but I don't think we're doing much with it. I want to stay focused here. We'll keep all the amass stuff, incubate stuff. Probably cut the Battle Fan. Seems a little excessive. I like the equipment. Probably cut. We've got 2 spots right now. 2 is probably all you really need, right? Like, I want to play Whispers and maybe Grim Affliction. Like the cheap, like the efficient stuff. Because it's not like integral to the game plan, it's just like cool if we get it. Let's do that. What's this card called? Whisper of the Dross. God damn, Jesus. And the other one is Grim Affliction. Okay. Yeah. What if there's just another card that puts counters on stuff? Let's just look for counter. Not necessarily one will counters, right? Because it cares about any counters at all. Blood Curdle. That's cool. Put a menace counter on a creature. Yes, play Blood Curdle. Forgot about these cards when I was building. We'll cut the Chain Flail Centipede. Card doesn't have a lot of synergy with what we're doing. This one does. Like an Aura gives a counter. No, it doesn't give a counter. Bummer. You can hold a creature with a counter. Each one loses a life. I mean, not great. Got that one. Just like the things that put like multiple counters on stuff. That's kind of what I'm interested in. Which is fine, honestly. You don't need like a ton of this stuff. Okay, sure, from usually hand you may choose non-card if you do. Okay, so it's 3 mana, put 2 counters on something? Yeah, let's do that. It's weird how many like Thoughtseizes there are that just put counters on stuff if you don't do anything with it. Like this, you can Thoughtseize somebody, or if you don't, you get just put 2 counters, which is kind of what we want to be doing anyway, so that seems good. We'll cut Torture, Jesus, don't need that. This week is let's play Repeat Offender. That seems like a good mana sink, right? Like a 2 mana creature. Let me change the overview on this. Visual spoiler, mana value. So Repeat Offender. Let's look at this one. How do I view this card? Details, there we go. So 2 mana, 2/1, 3 mana, we can suspect it, so give it menace and can't block, and then from then on, every time we do this, it gets a 1/1 counter, just so we can just pump mana into it. I like that. I like that. That's a neat one. Every once in a while you find something that, you know, just kind of captures your imagination that way, you know. Didn't know that card existed till now, being perfectly honest. I don't think that many people know any of the cards that exist in Murders of Karloff Manor. Okay. Okay, anyway. 101, have to get rid of one thing. Let's cut the Scare Tiller. It's a cool card advantage, but the card itself doesn't really do anything for us. Okay, and we're back. Okay. 2 lands, some creatures, sphere. Okay, this is fine. Draw. That's great. Alright, let's get this out there. We'll scry 1. Put this on the bottom. Next turn. He will play our Everflowing Chalice on 1. And then next turn, we'll just keep casting our Mana Rocks until we draw another land. This time we can actually cast this. Okay, not drawing any land. Just kind of sucks. So something we could do that's interesting is we can go 1, 2, 3 and Grim Affliction something and proliferate this. If we're desperate, which I think at this point we kind of are. So now this taps for 2. We can proliferate those counters. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 mana. We can just start doing this. Help us find our last land. And then we can attack here. Counter. Great thing is that like you can just do this once it enters, which is great. Doesn't need haste or anything. Surveil 1, put that in the yard. We just want to land, there we go. Alright, so we got 6 mana now. What we'll do is we'll get out, let's see. Let's say if we could do 1, 2. Yes, we'll do 1, 2, 2. We'll put this out there, put this out there, and then we can just save this and see. We'll keep this man up, whatever, and we'll just attack. Put a counter here. Surveil 2. Bin both of those. This we can use next, or we can use actually this turn, right? We can just go exile this, put a counter here. We'll just keep piling on this, and we'll develop these on the side. Perfect. We'll just do this, and we'll suspect this. I mean, you don't get an idea of... you can get a rough idea of power level sometimes. Mostly I just want to make sure that the deck is doing what I want it to do, you know? I don't really need to test them live. I've tested some live, and it's been fine, but... Alright, so we suspect here, let's add a counter here. But yeah, like, you know, turn 7 of a casual game, and we're not even, like, you know, playing against an opponent, so, like, we may have done this already. We may have found a reason to cast Essence Infusion already, you know? But we've got, like, our engine online, and we have things to develop, and, you know, in a casual game, this is not unreasonable. We can just attack here again, just keep pumping this guy up and surveilling lots of cards. Whoops, 2, 3, 4. Let's, I kind of want this. We'll just dump, put this back on top, this back on top, we'll dump this, okay. And then we can do this. No, just keep going. This time we're surveilling 5. Yeah, now we're kind of online. We've got a lot of other stuff to do as well. Like, we can adapt this. It's just, like, start buffing this up a little bit. I guess, like, we have Exalted Trigger here, too, so now we're attacking just, like, with a 7/7. Until they kill it, right? Because it's a threat. It's going to die eventually. And then we just start, we just move over to this. Or even just Spider-Man, you know? We just block with this, keep returning this if we need to. Like, there's a lot of things you can't account for, obviously, by gold fishing, but the idea is generally just to make sure that, like, you know, we're casting our spells, we're playing on curve, you know, we have things to do, the cards are meshing okay, and the synergies are working the way that we want. I don't expect these to be perfect, and I don't expect them to be, like, the perfect power level for your playgroups. Most of the decks I build are probably going to be weak for most people's playgroups because I optimize things in different ways. Optimized for different things. Like, for example, I don't build decks to be powerful. I build decks to accomplish certain play patterns, which this deck is actually kind of doing. So let's just get this guy out there. We'll cast our Arcane Signet. Something interesting we can do is cast Rowan's Grim Search, sacrifice our Arcane Signet if we want to, which is interesting. We can just, yeah, we'll just cast a starting column. We have speed. Where's my speed? Starting engines. We're at speed 1. And we'll cast this thing, and then we'll attack someone with no creatures, and I'll go up to 2. And now we've got these things to block with. So let's get Spider-Man out there. We'll attack with this thing because it's lifelink. We'll put a counter on it. Surveil 1. We'll keep that on top. Say that, you know, they block, it dies, whatever. This costs what? Just a black. Okay, so we'll just pay our black. Oh no, I already did it. I already cast my commander. Okay, never mind. So all this is tapped. I'm just shortcutting in my head. Okay. Okay, so we got our land. We can exile this, make an incubate, 2 counters. We can pay 2 to flip it. Right, and that turns it into a creature. Turn over. Alright, so we got a 2/2. What's Essence Infusion? Attack over 4/4, and we'll surveil 4. Or 5 rather, because it gets a counter from Spider-Man. On turn 5, this is like pretty decent. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 cards. We are going to keep this one on top. Okay, so we can keep any number on top that we want. Which ones do we want? Definitely want this. Don't need this. Don't need this. Although I kind of want it. Don't need this or this. Okay. So we'll just do this and that. Alright, and go up to 3. Now we have our Gargantua. I love this. Okay, so let's cast this. It's not going to attack till next turn. So we'll just go with this one again. We're going to start attacking with this like every turn now. So let's surveil 6. Don't need that. Don't need that at this point. Who cares? Who cares? We're going to draw 2 cards anyway. So let's just do this. So what we'll do when we untap, what is it, 4 now? So now we can sacrifice this to draw cards. So now what we'll do is we'll go to combat. And now we can just like, the great thing about this is that, you know, it makes combat a lot easier to conceptualize because you don't need to worry about like alpha striking. We can just like leave this 6/6 back to block and just start going to town with this thing. So what we'll probably do is what? Adapt 3, so we'll adapt it just so we don't lose out on that counter, on those counters from adapting, because you can adapt once it already has a counter, right? So we'll draw 2, lose 2. We'll attack, put a counter on it. We'll draw 2, lose 2, surveil 3. I kind of want to keep this because I want to start building up an army too, because this thing is going to be a removal magnet. And what we'll do is we'll just do Toll the Invasion and we'll make an army. Yeah, I really like the ability to just like pressure with our big thing and then just kind of like build up behind it. It feels pretty good. I think it changes his decision making in a lot of ways to make it a little less cumbersome, which is a good thing. It's kind of like you want to take to a convention, for example, if you're playing Magic all day at a con. Decks that don't have a super heavy mental load. I think this one's pretty not so bad at that. We'll play Last Step Reaver, put a counter here. We'll cast the Golem thing, make him discard a card, put 2 counters here, becomes an Orc Army, attack, put a counter here. We'll surveil, oh no, it's surveil. So it depends on how, I'm not a judge, but I'm of the opinion that like this ability has to finish resolving before, or this ability has to finish resolving before you can put anything else on the stack. If that's the case, then we surveil first and then we draw 2, which I like. We'll operate under that assumption. Reckoner Shakedown, we want that one. We'll take the Troll because we can cast it. Yeah, we'll just take all this stuff, I think. We'll take these 2 right now. And then we'll draw 2, lose 2, play land. Yeah. Yeah, this feels good. We've got a lot of stuff back here too that we can work with. Alright, 758. I'm just going to look at this. This hand looks good. I would play this hand in a second. Okay. Anyway, so this is an interesting one. I think there's a lot of different things you can do with this card. I think what I wanted to do with this card tonight is not so bad. This feels pretty good, honestly. I really like surveilling like 6 cards at a time. That feels really nice. I think this card's really neat. It gives you a lot of redundancies. It gives you a lot of fail safes. It kind of helps you just like play a really slick game of Magic, you know. Like I said, like the ability to just, if nothing else, this thing can trigger its own ability. We can just stack counters on this, or we can pick something else that has a, you know, does cooler things. And if we're only attacking with one thing, not attacking with anything else, then we have defenses, which is good. The format's very like battlefield focused, and you need to prevent yourself from taking a lot of damage in combat. That's pretty much what it boils down to. So if we can do that and just dump counters on something, then it seems good to me. Yeah, thanks for stopping by and thanks for your questions. I'm always happy to chit chat about what we're doing. I know I have a lot of unorthodox opinions about these sorts of things that kind of go against a lot of conventional wisdom sometimes, um, but I'm happy to talk about it. I think the way that I build my decks I really like, and it works for me. It might work for you too, but the point of these decks is to just kind of like engage with my thought process a little bit, show you guys kind of what I'm thinking about, what I consider, what I want to see in a game of Magic, and then these decks are all on my Mox Field. You can take them, copy them, do whatever you want with them. Um, they're yours to edit as you will. Real quick, because it's already 8 o'clock, I'm already running over time, which is awful, 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 awful. Not professional at all. Like I said, deck list is going to be in the description, along with the bookmark to all the other decks we've built. There's like almost 50 of them now. We've been doing this for almost a year, which is kind of insane. Um, and then lastly, at the bottom, you'll find two links, Trans Lifeline and Trevor Project. If you want to donate your money to those organizations, I recommend that you do. It's a good thing. I'll put it that way. But yeah, other than that, thanks for stopping by. We'll be back next week. Probably not with a Spider-Man. We think we're done with Spider-Man now. But I'm looking forward to it. I'll see